10. Okay, so today we're going to look at Business Glossary and Quality Manager in particular, and how we integrate them to serve principally data stewards and business leads. And by business leads, we usually mean directors of a line of business within a company. So first thing we want to point out is that the way we've set this up is that we have our categories. As you can see, we're looking at Business Glossary Browser. We've set up our categories for our terms and business policies and reports in accordance or according to how we've also set up Quality Manager. So if I show you Quality Manager, we have marketing, loyalty, member, and account as our entities. And if we go back to our Business Glossary, we notice we have marketing, loyalty, member, and account as our taxonomy or our hierarchy for our terms. So our first scenario is from the point of view of a data steward. Data steward is going to be interested in a couple of things. Number one, they are responsible for ensuring that the definitions of the terms and the categories that are in their domain are correct and up to date. And then the other thing that they're responsible for is to ensure that the business policies and the data quality for those business policies are being monitored and accurate. So let's start with Business Glossary Browser, and from here we can drill into the terms and the definitions and the business policies, and from there we can actually link into the Quality Manager view, which shows us the results from Information Analyzer. So we'll start again as a data steward. My name's Steve, I'm your data steward, and I'm responsible for some business policies. So there's two ways to go about this: to monitor the business policies to see if we're conforming with what the business wants in Information Analyzer and Business Glossary. Two ways to do this. One is to simply look at the business policies that we have within our system. We have two: policy, member uniqueness, and then a postal address delivery policy. That's one way to do that. But as a company develops more policies, it might, get fairly robust in here for the number of policies. So another way, as a data steward, I can go into the search of Business Glossary Browser, and I can do an advanced search, and I can parse essentially all of the policies and find out which ones I am responsible for. So I'll simply type in policy. What we've done is you notice on that last screen, what we did was we gave the policy the term policy, right? So each of those policies that we have in that category tree starts with policy. Now I want to select a condition, and that's going to be steward, myself, Steve. And so I'm clicking on the steward. Here I am, Steve. So by filtering this way, by my name and policy, I can search, and again, I'm going to pull up the policies I am responsible for. I can see the definitions of the policies. I have a link to the policies. First policy we're going to look at is postal address delivery. So here I am in Business Glossary Browser, and I can see the definition for postal address delivery. In this case, AMC must maintain accurate mailing addresses for loyalty members. This is for direct mail campaigns principally, and it's within the marketing area. I can look at my general information, and I can see a couple of things that are important here. If I don't fully understand what DSF address deliverability codes are, I can click here and see that. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now, but that shows the definition for what that is. I can also look here and see Information Analyzer, execution history, and sample return. So here is my quality rule in Information Analyzer. And let me just briefly say that for this policy, If I went into and looked at the deliverability codes, I can see codes number 1 through 3 are valid, meaning that the address that the loyalty member gave us is a valid mailing address. All other codes are invalid. Looking at this, I can see approximately 40% of all of the addresses we have for loyalty members are valid addresses, meaning that 40% of our direct mail campaign literature is actually getting to a house or a mailing address. If I need more details, I can go right here, and now this is pulling me right into Quality Manager results, and I can see here's the rule, here's the entities, the source, etc., and I can see the results. If I click on here, I can see the first 999 results. DSF address, this is, remember I said 1, 2, and 3 were valid addresses, all others are not. 9 is not a valid address. So this gives me information as a data steward to do just a little bit root cause analysis to see maybe what's going on. If I wanted to go into further detail, I would go into Information Analyzer. Okay. Again, we're showing 999 out of, let me close this, out of 2.4 million violations. So, you know, hopefully, as things improve, we'll be less than 999 violations. And so then we can really see what the issue is in that. So that's one way to look at business policies, because we're always trying to tie our data quality to a business policy or a business concern, rather than just looking at data quality for the sake of the data itself. Okay, the next scenario I'd like to go through, and it's very similar, is basically to look at the terms. And I'll just go through category tree. I could do the same thing, where I could do this search and look for my name as a data steward and see all of the terms that I am responsible for. But again, the other way to do it is to go in through the category tree and see under member, for these loyalty members, here are the fields that are aligned with the member. Okay, we have two subcategories here. We have account subcategory and we have the member category. Account is terms related to the accounts, and the member is terms related to member. Maybe a better way to say that is, in this case, the account is all of the terms that are of value or a part of an actual account that they have signed up for. So we can see, you know, what day they enrolled in the loyalty member account. Okay, we can also see, again, all terms that we have in business glossary. We're trying to have a data quality rule associated with them. This case is a good example that we don't, but for most of the terms we do. So let's look at one in particular. Let's look at email address, because that's something that's of concern to maybe the business lead. They're sending out text messages, they're sending out emails, promotions to members of the loyalty programs to try to get them to go to a particular theater or store, or try to get them to, you know, maybe use some of the benefits that we provide in this loyalty program. So I can go to email address in member. I can see my definition, the address used to reach someone via electronic mail. Again, we are checking for quality or for validity of the email addresses we're receiving. And we can view our results here, or we can also get into deeper detail and we can review our results again from the results of Information Analyzer rules that go to Quality Manager, and now we're viewing them here. This is conformity rule, meaning it has an @ sign. It's a .com, .gov, .net, etc. And we can see, again, we can kind of drill down as a data steward. and say, well, maybe I see some of the issues that are coming here. The idea of seeing issues and seeing the rule results is really to prompt a business change of some kind, a business process change of some kind. So if I see a lot of violations here in email addresses, I might institute some business change or business process that encourages loyalty members to enter correct email addresses, either through the online enrollment or when they go to a theater and enroll. The other thing I can do here is I can, now we see what we have here, which we have 965,000, roughly 1 million violations out of 4 million rows. If I don't like that, I can click on an email and I can send, this can be configured in any way, but I can send an email directly to someone that might be concerned about this, or I might want to be concerned about this, to do some changes. Okay, let me close out of this. Again, I'm really using Business Glossary Browser as the method of entry into understanding and looking at data quality. If I'm a business lead, again, maybe a director of marketing or a director of finance, something along those lines, I might want a different view, because you can see that this view we looked at was really a way to drill down into the quality results. But I might want this view as a director of, whatever line of business I'm a part of. So in this case, maybe I'm a director of marketing. And so marketing is my area. Here are my entities within marketing under the loyalty program in this case. And I can see a couple of things. This is really how I want to look at things from a very high level and see, whoa, where are some issues, or where do I want to focus my data quality remediation efforts? Maybe in member, right? Or maybe in account. Here's my scores. My score is a little higher in account than it is in member. So I'm saying, well, let's focus on member. And here I can see quality indicators if I want to drill down that way and say, well, I have certain issues in various quality indicators. Here's my scores. So conformity is a little higher. Validity is pretty low. So it might be something I want to talk to the data steward about. I can drill down here and we'll see some of the views that we saw before. I can see all of the rules within marketing, member, right, from this source we have, which is AMC prod in our case, and the quality indicator we're looking at is validity. So I can see all of these rules here, and I can look at the scores, and I can determine which rule maybe I want to focus on as one of the big violators of the rules. So I can see perhaps here this rule, which if I want to really find out what that is, I can do that from here. So we're looking at city ID being invalid. And again, I can email the data steward. I can view the results if I want to. I'm not certain as a director of marketing or a director of finance or whatever department I am, I want to get to this level of detail, which is why I really enjoyed this view here, to kind of look again at a high level and say what I need to accomplish. Here I can see trends of a data quality score over time. In this case, we only have a very short trend, but as time goes on and more data is loaded and we run information analyzer more frequently or over a longer period of time, I will see these trends. And this is really something I want to look at. Is my data quality score improving over time or not improving over time? And what am I going to do about it? Right? Again, we're just trying to prompt business into making some change in their processes, or how basically how they do their business. The other thing I want to point out here is we're looking at the number of violations. There are 25 million violation rows with violations in validity. The other way to look at this and to prioritize things is to look at CBQ, or cost of bad quality. In this case, for this scenario, basically what we have is we don't have dollar values in here. We can, if we know them, we can put dollar values in here. Right now we just have, we've weighted the rules in a way that gives me a view as director, business director, it gives me a view to look at how or where I might want to focus. So the larger the number, perhaps that's where I want to focus my remediation efforts or my business change efforts. Example on the CBQ is this. We looked at DSF, or address deliverability, as being what only 40% of our mailing addresses were deliverable addresses. That's something I could actually attach a dollar value to. So 60% of my mailings are returned. So I know how much it costs to print, to mail, to design those mailings, and I probably also have a good handle as the opportunity cost of those mailings not going to where they were intended to go. So if it's like a 10% discount, but I'm going to get a 50% return on investment, then I can sort of figure out the dollar amount for each of those violations. And then this chart here would have a dollar value to it, which is a great business tool, and is a great tool for those of us in the business of creating these dashboards to show to the business. Dollar hits home. And so if I can say, this is really the dollar value of these errors, how much money we're losing from not having correct mailing addresses, then the business is going to say, okay, so how do we correct this? How do we give incentives to people to enter the correct address? Or how do we give incentives to, in this case, a movie theater, to get the correct address of loyalty members? Okay, a couple more things I wanted to look at real quickly. Going back to the category tree, and then the search in business glossary. Well, category tree, let's start there. One of the things we put in here was data governance reports. Okay, and so we basically are treating business policies and data governance reports in this version of business glossary 8.5 as terms. We're essentially treating them as terms and categories. So we have here links to a business glossary and a data quality remediation status report. So we can just click right on here, and this report itemizing the number of business terms in business glossary and their status: accepted, candidate, deprecated, or standard. I can look, I can find the link to the business glossary report, and I can see the number of terms we had. We had roughly 50 terms in business glossary, and we can see the status of those terms. So I could even, I can see Dave Lewis has 5 accepted terms and 15 candidate terms. Okay, candidate terms being in acronyms, accepted terms being in the quality manager category. And same thing with Steve Strickland. And if there are other data stewards, they can look and see. We could export this, put it into some, CSV or an Excel, and we can generate graphics from that if we wanted to do that. One more thing I wanted to show that we did in this particular case was in the search. We know that people have ideas about what terms mean, right? Different people have different ideas of what a customer means and what, it's crazy, right? And so what we want to do is make it easier for the user, in this case, to be able to search for terms from some other view or some other level than we might have designed them, because we designed them from a enterprise data model or something along those lines, right? But someone in some department may have no clue of enterprise data models, but they may have an idea of what they think is important. And so we've added tags to a lot of the terms. So I can go into dates. Dates is a tag. So I'm interested as a user. I don't know exactly what date I'm looking for. I know I'm looking for something. I want to understand what a date means, right? And so, but I don't really know exactly what date I'm looking at. So I simply went to tags, clicked on dates, selected it, I searched, and then I can see all the dates in Business Glossary. I say, oh, right, it's close date. That's the one I was looking for. And then I can even get into close date. I can see who the data steward is. If I have any issues with how the data steward has defined this, I can send the data steward an email. And I can really kind of dig in from here and see what close date means. Finally, one more thing I wanted to show, and that was, oh, here it is already, is, let's start from the beginning, is Business Glossary Anywhere. And Business Glossary Anywhere, again, is another way to access Business Glossary and, again, everything we've seen so far as far as data quality rules from a PDF document, a Word document, a web page, etc. And so I can go, in this case, it's a PDF document. I'm just hitting Shift, right-click on the word theater, and I can see all of the terms that have theater in them. I can left-click if I want to get to a more detailed description, short and long description of activation theater number. Again, data steward, information analyzer results. Or I can also right-click on it. And that gets me to Business Glossary browser. It will get me to Business Glossary browser. So I think that's it, unless there's any questions. I think that is